everyone. Welcome back. We are glad that you are here. If you are here, welcome to part two in a five-part series of building a branching video in Camtasia. If you missed the first part, good news is the replay is live. You can access it via YouTube or you can access it via Crowdcast, whichever you prefer. I am Kara North, and I am one of the two people in the boxes today. And we're going to be talking again about TechSmith Camtasia. But we also want to just open it up broadly. I know that Joe and I both get a lot of questions from people about, from what's it like doing the job? How do you actually use these tools on the job? So I'm just putting it out there. We're pretty open anyway, but today is definitely like an ask me anything day. So any burning question that you have, please give it to us. We will tackle it today during today's episode. And if we have more, then we'll go ahead and carry them over into the next episode. So again, very glad to have everyone with us. Joe, any kind of inspiring words to get us started?
No, I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at, whatever time of day it is, and welcome to the session. We're looking forward to answering you guys' questions.
Yes, we are. So it looks like our winner of our TechSmith bundle, Michelle, is back with us live. So welcome. We are also monitoring both YouTube Live and Crowdcast. So just want to shout out some of the people that are here. So welcome, Gabriella, Shalini, Paula, Dorada, Diana. Sarah Hill, hey, welcome. Diana again. Melissa, and Jennifer and Ken, and okay, all kinds of great people here. So again, welcome. Really glad that you all are with us. So I will go ahead real quick. Joe may have a tech issue. I don't know if he does or not, but if you good, or do you need me to let you reload?
Let me do a quick test.
Okay, because if not, I gotcha.
Yep, I'll need to reload.
Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and I will take us back to kind of what we did last time. So this is, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because I watched the replay. It was a little bit hard to see. So what we're doing is we are working in TechSmith Camtasia, and this is basically a, actually, let me go back and bring that back. I had to bring Joe back into the stream. Didn't want to lose him. If you remember last time, Mr. Too Many Tabs Suarez had a little snafu, but we brought him back. So this is the original file that I made, gosh, I want to say 3.5 years ago now, of a branching video in Camtasia. So it is not pretty going back looking at it. Again, I'm my own worst critic. I think we all are, right, when we're looking at stuff that maybe we have done. So the way that this is built to do the branching is I use markers in Camtasia to kind of almost set like chapters of where I want the branches to go. And then when it gets to this part, it will throw in, and again, I actually got these from Storyline, but again, we don't have to use that. We can use characters from just about anywhere. We could even make them in PowerPoint if we wanted to. And so it actually will stop the video after this countdown, and the user does have to select one of these. And so you see over here in the properties for the callout that we are using an interactive hotspot, and the way that we branch it off is via the markers here. So that was just basically, I just did a run through of what that was last time. I will share in the chat on both YouTube as well as Crowdcast real quick. If you missed it and want to go through it on your own, I'll do the little short link for you. Or you can also go to my website, karanorth.com, and get it. But there's a quick little link for it. Trip to Japan, if you want to also go through it on your own. And then let me go ahead and pop that over into the YouTube. There we go, into the YouTube chat as well. So let me go, and I'm looking to see if we have any questions about just anything from the last session before we kind of dive in today. So any questions? I'm looking on Crowdcast. You can either type them in the chat, or you can also use the ask a question feature. Ask a question feature, if you're kind enough to do that, what it will do is when we go back to answer those questions, we can actually do a timestamp, which is fantastic. And then that way, when someone's watching the replay, they can go to that and it will go ahead and jump to the part that we answered the question, exactly what Joe just said. So, all right. So Joe, is this your time? You wanna take it away from me?
Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen now.
Okay. All right. Let me stop my share. We are back. Hello. And then Joe, take it away, because I don't want to talk the whole time. So, all right. So we're going to add Joe in here, and
Awesome.
can everyone see Joe's screen? Hopefully.
Yeah, very, very plain. This is a brand new Camtasia project that we're looking at. And I thought it might be helpful just to walk people through a quick overview of the interface and then just throw together a sample project. And then if you have any questions along the way, Kara can monitor for those and we'll answer them on the fly if that works. We'll go ahead and get started. So whenever you start a video editing project of some kind, and we covered this a little bit last week, you want to keep all your assets all together in one folder. And the reason for that, and let me just go ahead and open up a folder here just to kind of demonstrate. The reason for that, like we shared last week, is that the Camtasia project file itself, if we save that to this location, one moment, kind of doing this on the fly. There we go. There it is, untitled project. So this is a very small file. And unlike other software that you may have used, like Adobe Captivate or Storyline, that every time you add a image or a video or an audio into that course project file, that one file gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Unlike that, Camtasia just has like a reference file that's looking for all those different assets all over your computer, wherever they're at. And then it's saying, okay, we're going to start this clip from here to here. And it's a very small file. So because of that, you want to keep all your files together. And the way I like to do it is in my root of my project here, I like to have maybe a folder called assets, and then a folder called finished or published, just so when other people are coming and they're looking, if this is like on a shared drive or something like that, they don't have to dig through all these different editing files. They know exactly where to go to find the finished product. So that's something to start us off with. And then even within your assets, you might even want to get a little more granular. You might want to have a folder specifically for video, maybe one for audio if you got a bunch of audio clips that you're pulling in, or voiceover clips that you're using, and then one for images or graphics as well.
As you're doing this, Joe, I think this is a really hot tip, because I know I've made many errors while working in different files like this, where I'm that person that will just kind of put things everywhere. I know myself, I need to have better organization, and taxonomies for this very reason. I love what you're doing with it, putting everything in that same folder, because like you said, when you have that project file in Camtasia, it is that reference file. So I think you're giving people a great tip.
Yeah, so back in the Camtasia interface, the reason I brought that up all first is because right here we have this option to import all our media, and it's very tempting to just click that and then just start pulling in all our different assets from all over the place, and we can see them all listed here neatly as if they're all organized. But if they're scattered all over our machine, anytime those locations change, then we're going to get an error message in Captivate that it's saying it can't find that resource or that asset. So that's why I bring that up.
He meant in Camtasia, not Captivate.
Wow, did I say Captivate?
You did.
Very sorry about that. Okay, so just really quick. So that's our media bin. Once we say import media, we'll just have the option to bring everything in, all of our assets, and they'll be listed here. And a library is just kind of different Camtasia assets that TechSmith has been kind enough to provide. And we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm just going to throw together a quick sample project here. This big blank box right here, that's our preview window. And down here is our timeline. So anything we put down here, we can scrub through and play. So why don't I just go ahead and do that? From the Camtasia library, let's just pull some things out at random and just kind of pull together a video on the fly as we go. So I see a house here. I can either drag that onto my stage, my preview window right here, or I can drag it onto the timeline exactly where I want it to show up in the video. So by default, looks like the length of a clip is about 5 seconds. So if I come here to the end of it, I can actually drag that out as long as I need it to be. So let's go for let's make this maybe a minute long, about there. And yeah, it's pretty, plain house. It's gonna have that in the background. And again,
Hey, Joe, I'm curious, are you a timeline or a canvas person when you drop things on?
Probably mostly a timeline person, because I'll want things to come in and out at certain times. But maybe like a nice background image or something, I'll just pull it onto the screen.
Yeah, I think I'm almost exclusively timeline myself. I very rarely drop it onto the canvas, but you're right, you could do it either way. So whatever works for you, that's the right answer.
Yep. And you'll notice I'm using Camtasia 2019. I don't think there's too much of a difference in the overall interface in the newer versions, but sorry about that if there is. So yeah, like I said, this is the Camtasia library that TechSmith provides. There's a few different things in here. They're just organized by type. So this is insurance. So got a nice little family here. So we can pretend that, yeah, let's just do that going forward. Let's just pretend we're creating like a quick insurance video about, home insurance or home and auto insurance. There you go, right there. Perfect.
Thanks, Ketzel, for being here live. We appreciate you. Hopefully you like this insurance video Joe's putting together.
Yeah, it's this poor family that they just lost their house. So you might see that every time I drug something onto the preview window here, it created a new track down here below. And you'll also notice that they're layered. So we can see that this fire is on top of the house, and our house is track 2, and our fire is on track 5. So we could kind of move those around and do the opposite. And you can see now the house is in front of the fire. So order is important in this case. Just hit undo a bunch of times, take that back. So let's see. Do we need anything else, or is that all? Is that good for what we want to do here? Yeah, so they even provide some music tracks if we wanted some just background music, which we'll go ahead and put that there. I can get into that a little bit later if we have time. And in our options over here, we also have voice narration. So we could, if we wanted to, I could click start voice recording and record my own voiceover right here, selecting the right microphone. And you can see by this little bar that it's detecting the audio in my microphone here. And you can even paste in a script if you wanted to. My recommendation would be to record outside of Camtasia. And then you have the nice audio file using something like Audacity, which is a free tool for recording audio, and then bring that into Storyline after you're done. And then if you need to make changes, you can outside of Camtasia and then update your audio file. That would be my recommendation, but you could do it in this tool in Camtasia itself.
Joe got a great question over in Crowdcast from Jennifer asking about the track numbers. And she's curious if the higher the track number is, if that is what is on top via layers. I'm assuming that's what you mean, Jennifer.
Yep, that is correct. So right here, track number 4 is the car, and track number 5 is the fire. So even if I drag the car over the fire, it will still be behind it because it's on the track below it. That's
This poor
absolutely
family,
right.
Joe. You're messing up their lives. I don't
I know.
like it.
Everything's on fire now for this poor family.
Great question, Jennifer.
So yeah, so currently we just have a black background, which is the default. Let's change that. And it's kind of hidden, but if you go to annotations and up at the top, there's different tabs. The first one is kind of like text boxes, but if you just want basic shapes, that's the third tab here, like the circle in front of the square. And so I just want a square shape. I'm just going to go ahead and make a sky. And of course, put that on top. We don't want that. I would want that below. Make that track 1. And again, the same thing here. If you really want to make a bunch of complex shapes that weren't going to animate, probably do it in a different tool and then bring that in afterwards. But I'm just kind of demonstrating the different things you can do in Camtasia here. And you know what? Instead of a solid shape, let's go with a gradient. Gradients are a little weird in Camtasia. I'm not really sure how to control. Usually you get to have one color go into another color, but it just kind of gives you this subtle gradient effect. So, but we're just going to roll with that. You know, here's our sky, I guess. All right, it's very blue sky. Let's run with that. And then we got one more shape for the ground, which really throws everything out of whack. So we'll just go ahead and insert yet another track. And I did that by right-clicking and saying Insert Track. And you can choose above or below. So I also duplicated my sky, but I'm just going to drag that down and change it from blue to green for the ground. There we go. Wow, now it's looking a little bit better. All right, so if we were assuming this was some kind of video about insurance, maybe our voiceover would say, you know, as you want to protect your family, you never know what's going to happen. So what would be the order of operation for when we would want things to come in? Maybe the family would pop in first, probably right away. And I hear music happening because we have that track. We'll get into that in a minute. And we'll say, and you have, you know, your different types of insurance. You have your home and your car. Any more questions in the chat, Kara?
Yeah, I just put one if people think you're the Bob Ross of TechSmith Camtasia with happy little vectors.
Happy little house on fire. All right, so if I, and a quick tip, I love keyboard shortcuts. They really help you out and save time in the long run. So when you're in any decent video editor, the space bar on your keyboard will play and stop the video. So when I hit space bar, go ahead and preview this video. Very basic. So we have a family, they have a house and a car, and then, tragedy strikes, right? But that was pretty like plain, right? Things were just popping in, nothing very dynamic. So how can we spice that up a little bit? Well, let's try a few things. The first, that brings us to transitions. So every track that we have, everything on a track that we have down here can have a transition added to it. And there are lots of different things that are kind of good if you were switching from one scene to another, like a page roll and fold and things like that. But usually you just want to keep things subtle, just a subtle fade. So I'm going to, actually, I thought there was another one that I liked. Another cool thing is when you mouse over these, you get to see a preview of what it actually looks like. Again, a lot of them are kind of cheesy, won't have too much of a use in most settings, but you can never go wrong with a nice subtle fade. So let's see, let's put a fade on. Yeah, so just the family there, fades in. And then another cool thing in Camtasia are animations. Very similar to transitions in that you can mouse over and preview what they look like and then drag them onto the items on the timeline. And there's one that I'm no longer seeing for some reason. Oh, there was a cool one that I found that I wanted to.
Speaking of cool, Joe, looks like Ketzel gave you a new nickname.
Oh yeah, what's that?
You see it there? More like Joe Swar High Res.
Awesome. I like that.
I do too.
I'll have to remember that. Okay, so the one I was thinking of is actually back here with transitions, and it's glow. And we'll put that on the house and the car. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So it kind of flashes in. But if we zoom in on our timeline, that makes everything look bigger. If we zoom in, we can control the duration of these transitions, just like that. And if we shorten it down to almost next to nothing, the glow transition looks like a quick flash that looks pretty nice in my opinion. So the family fades in and the house and the car flash in. It's a nice little effect. And then what can we do for the fire? Let's think of something interesting for the fire. Maybe go back to this animations and see if we can't find something interesting. Maybe scale up. Does that do anything? I think that doesn't work. No, you know what? That might work. So it's an animation. So it's going from something to something. So, and you can see there's an arrow here. And again, I can stretch that out for duration purposes, but it's going to go from, and I hate when I do that accidentally, create a selection on the timeline. So it's going to go from this state. You know, we can have it start as a little small fire in a bedroom like that. And then it can go big to where it's engulfed the whole house. Like that. Yeah, could be better, but you know, you get the gist of it there, that with an animation, you're going from something to something and you get to control the duration. Cool. So we should make this a true improv thing where I should kind of take cues from the audience about what we should do next to this poor family. Or do we want to save them and fix their situation somehow? I'll leave that up to comments. And while we're talking about that, let me just go through some other areas of this user interface in Camtasia. So anytime you click on a track or working on anything really in Camtasia, this properties window over here will open up. And depending on what you have selected, you'll get different options. So because I have, in this case, the car selected, you'll notice I have been adjusting things by just coming over here and clicking these control points to make things bigger and smaller. But I could come over here with it selected, the properties panel will pop up, and I could do that from here as well. You know, you get your option to scale. I could make it semi-transparent with the opacity. I could rotate it even if I wanted to along the Z, Y, and X axis. So Y and X axis will kind of more in, oh, you know what? That's actually really nice. I was thinking it was going to more kind of make it look like it was shrinking, but it kind of flips it on. It's kind of cheating. It is a little bit on a z-axis, but I like that. That's cool. You can adjust the position as well over here in the properties. And you could, if you needed to, hide that whole thing by clicking that little gear icon button there. All right, how's the chat looking? We have any recommendations for more things we can do to these poor people?
Yeah, actually, it looks like Katie Ryan says, let's have the insurance save them. So I guess better luck for them, and that's the only one that
Yeah, I
I
like
have
it.
seen.
It's a happy ending. I like that. So let's see. We're doing this all on the fly. Going back to the insurance options in the library. Well, looky here. We have an agent. So we'll just add him in. Oh my. Okay. I guess he's in. Very what do you call that? Brutalistic
That
looking
is a
agent.
nightmare fuel agent. I don't want that guy coming to my
Yeah,
house.
let's sorry, agent. Uh, you know what? I got a better idea. We're gonna roll with this. So this is kind of not what Camtasia is intended for at the same time as it is. It's not the best thing for animating like we're doing, but it's possible, and that's kind of the point here. I just wanted to roll with something without having any existing assets, and it's working out pretty nicely. All right, so we have our fire. It grew. And you know what? Let's just kind of stretch that out to make it a little dramatic, and maybe that's when we have our sad music come in right there. Oh no, the house caught on fire. So yeah, so we could have the sad music while things are burning, and then we could find another clip of more happier, upbeat music that we could put right when we have a cloud come by. And let's see, what's a nice transition for the cloud? I was looking for like a nice fly-in effect, but I don't know if there is one.
Speaking of music, Joe, Ketzel is concerned that we're going down the country song route.
Yeah, this could fall into that category for sure. Interactivity. All right, so let's just wrap this up. Just a quick blur. What does that do? Kind of looks like a fade, but we'll run with that. All right, so the fire comes in, but lo and behold, we have a rain cloud come overhead. And what happens to our fire at that point? It fades out. Or you know what? What does dissolve do? Let's just try that. So there's our rain cloud. And okay, that's weird effect. All right. Back to fade. And the cool thing is, so I've adjusted my transition for how long I want it. Now, if I move that clip, that duration of that transition will stick with it. All right, so let's preview the whole thing and see what we got here. So we have our family on a nice background. They come in, there's their house, there's their car, everything's great, but oh no, they have a fire. It gets bigger and bigger. There's sappy music in the background you probably can't hear. And then luckily a rain cloud comes in and saves the day. All right, so let's say that's our clip, but you know, we got some extra stuff here we didn't really want. It's going out. If we export right now, that'll be included in our video, but not to worry, because what we can actually do in Camtasia is say, if you notice on the playhead, there's a green bar and a red, or a green, there's a green and a red thing, whatever you call them. So by adjusting those, that creates a selection on our timeline. So the green is the start and the red is the end. So by going like that, I now have the duration of the whole thing that I want. And I can now begin to export that, or in Camtasia, it's actually called share. And I have several options. So I could just create a local file, meaning I just want the video file. And that'll kind of take me through some options here for what I want that to look like. Do I want just the video, or do I want a smart player? So that's getting into some advanced stuff, but I think the smart player is actually required for the interactivity piece that Kara's project has. Is that correct, Kara?
It is, yes.
Yep. We have some other options. If we had a YouTube or a Vimeo account, we could publish our video directly to there. And one of the things we brought up in last week's video is if we add a marker to the timeline. So I have a marker here. I could call it family. And then I can have another one here. We'll call it why is it not working? Oh, there it is. Name that Raincloud. Anyway, so now we have two markers on our video, and if you publish that to YouTube, you can actually have an option where you say, and let's see if I can do it here. No, you have to be signed in. But once you sign into your YouTube account, kind of link that up so Camtasia knows where your video is going to be posted. You have the option to turn those markers into it turns into a table of contents on a YouTube video where you can jump to different time points in the video, and they're segmented. I forget if it has a term other than table of contents, but it's really cool that Camtasia lets you do that and name them for you and everything, and even puts it in the show notes for you, links to the different time points.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to do. I just think it's a box you tick as you're publishing.
Yep. So once we're in the publish settings or share settings, if we did want to have, where is it? Sorry. So we get some different options here. If we say publish locally, we can create different quality of videos. So a 720 video, a 1080p video, which is high definition. Or if we really wanted something low res, it would be 480p. And the smart player is what we would need for the interactivity. So we'll choose that. And then we kind of choose where we want it to go. Let me very quickly. In our finished published folder. And we're rendering that out. All right, I see a few questions in the Q&A. All right, so now what has happened is, let me pull this over. This is our published project. So it's just a video, but we have a smart player on it. And that's what this play button is. So when we click play, our video occurs, and it looks like I didn't tell it to play just the selection that we wanted, but that is an option. And so the smart player, it has your basic features that you would want in a video player: play and pause, skip and go forward, volume, duration, your timeline. And then it also has, like we were just talking about, it takes those markers that we entered, and now we can jump around to different points in the video if we wanted to. And, you know, your playback speed, which is also great for, we'll say, video power users that like to go through things really quickly. And of course, your full screen option. So that is just a project created on the fly. So hopefully that gives you a good sense of what you can do with Camtasia without any assets, just things that were built into the TechSmith library that's provided in 2019. I don't even remember. I know when you get Camtasia, they give you an option right away to go out and download some assets. Actually, yeah, right here, download some more assets. So it does provide you with some, but in addition to that, you can go out and they have their own library of things that you can sign up for and get even more things, templates and themes and all kinds of stuff to help you out. So that's very basic. In addition to that, they have where are all like the lower thirds and stuff? Closed captions, of course, you can add those in. Very robust captioning system in Camtasia. And you can see that everything we took from the Camtasia library, it went ahead and added to our media bin here. Okay, so lower thirds are like if you want to introduce, so yeah, if you want to introduce somebody in a video, say it's a talking head interview or something like that, and you wanted to introduce who is talking, those quick things at the bottom of the screen are called lower thirds. And what's nice about Camtasia is that they have kind of like pre-built templates for lower thirds. And that's kind of a bad example about this one. Oh, okay, I deleted everything. Try that one. Again, not the greatest, but so the cool thing about it is because it's kind of pre-built, and there are some that don't have the Camtasia logo, which is nice. You can come over here and change the properties, and it'll instantly updates the video. So we'll just say insurance matters, maybe. Oh, you can change the logo, so it doesn't have to be Camtasia. I'm just going to go ahead and remove it entirely. You could change the colors of these boxes on the lower thirds. You have lots of different options there. And if we play that back, you can see that it comes in like that. And it says insurance matters if it's not showing up on the screen. And it has this little plus button here. And what that means is that there's a group, and you can open that group, and it's got all these different shapes that form the lower third. And you can kind of make those on your own, but it's nice that Camtasia has those kind of pre-built for you. So if you wanted to, you could come in and adjust the font on the text that's showing up and things like that. So that's lower thirds, very helpful when you're creating a video. Motion backgrounds are really interesting. You want a nice thing to catch or hold somebody's attention. Motion backgrounds are great for that. One thing I'm helping a client with is they've been recording and posting Zoom calls that they've been holding with different business leaders or different partners, business partners around their organization, and they're putting them online, but they just kind of look like regular Zoom meetings. So I'm helping them record them properly and then bring them into Camtasia and kind of spice them up. And one of the ways you can do that is with a nice background image. And if it's something that's a little interactive, something that's moving, maybe something like this, all the better. Something that can hold somebody's attention, keep it nice and subtle, things like that. You can have a nice countdown on your video. or account up in this case. Things like that. So, Kara, what do you think of all that?
I think it's pretty remarkable that as quickly as you did, you made something that fast with the assets that are already in Camtasia, which is pretty remarkable. Again, they give you a lot of stuff to get started with when you go in and really kind of dig around. And the fact that you were able to just take these little icons and just make a quick little story out of it, that's pretty awesome. So I like it. We had a great question from Q. I'm going to pop up here on screen, Joe, about when you publish to YouTube and you're editing. So let's say you publish something and it's like, ugh, I need to edit it. You can't replace it, right? Because they don't really have an editor anymore, do they?
Well, once you publish the video to YouTube, that's it. If
Yeah.
you wanted to make any changes, unfortunately, you'd need to publish a new video. I forget if, because I never used it to begin with, so I forget if they still have some basic options to let you like trim videos and do things like that in YouTube itself. They do let you go ahead and like change the thumbnail and the title and things like that. But as far as the video itself, yeah, once you hit publish, that's it. So yep, you really got to make sure all your ducks are in a row when you do that.
Yeah, I think the creator side of YouTube, you can add YouTube music to your video, and then I think you can put the cards at the end of a video. So like, when people are like, share and subscribe and check out these videos, that you can do that in the creator side. But yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I don't think there's anything else. It's almost like Twitter, right? After you tweet and you see a typo, you have to like take it down and there's no edit button. So it's kind of like the same in
Yep.
YouTube, unfortunately.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that.
Oh, I do it
With
all the
Twitter.
time, and then I see the typo or bad grammar, and I'm like, I'll let it live, right? All right. Katie Ryan was asking the link for the library that you showed. That was the TechSmith asset library, I believe, Joe, right? You were showing?
Yeah. So it's library.techsmith.com where you can get all that. And I'm pretty sure it's a subscription that you can sign up for.
It is. It is. I don't know if that has a trial or not, but if it is something you're interested in buying, we do have a code there, Kara North 10, if you want 10% off any purchase for TechSmith, you can use that code to get that. We also had a question come up about the uh, video review that TechSmith has. So that's a product that you basically upload in a video, and then you can send that link out to people, and then they can review it and give time-stamped feedback on it, which is really nice. That one does have a 30-day free trial. The link to that one's techsmith.com/video-review. So, that's another one that could also be extremely helpful. There you go. Thanks, Joe. So if you scroll up a little bit, if you go down there, down, sorry. I say it backwards. If you keep going, right there, yeah, you see you got the little timestamp feedback of the little timestamp next to the avatar of the person giving the feedback in the comments. So that's really handy. I actually at work, we did a quick little trial of it just to test it out, but we really liked it. So it might be something we purchase later on. So
Yeah, look at that. You can even annotate on the video to point out what the comment is about. That's really cool.
yeah. Sarah's asking about export to desktop to preview before you export to YouTube. I think she's asking, is that kind of a best practice to do that, to watch it first before you upload?
Yeah, definitely. And if you're working in some kind of context where a video goes through some kind of review process, you could either publish it to YouTube and have it be private or unlisted. And then if you needed to make a change, you could upload a new video, or you could publish it locally and share the file around. But then, file size might begin to be an issue there. So that's where these tools like video review, if it's someplace where they let you upload videos, which I think it is, those can come in real handy.
Yeah, another tool that TechSmith recently put out that I'm eager to try, and I plan on trying soon. I just haven't got around to it. It's Audiate. And so the Audiate is essentially if you have audio, you can go in, clean it up. It can remove filler words. It can provide a transcript faster. So I'm really looking forward to playing with that one. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but plan on doing so because it looks like it's a really neat tool, especially if you do a lot of kind of captioning in-house, either for yourself or your organization. It looks like it's going to help with some of the saving some time doing that.
And yet another thing that TechSmith offers, this one is completely free, is the TechSmith Academy. It's just a series of videos that they have put together on various topics, either walkthroughs or recorded webinars and things like that, of just lots of different things as far as the video creation process using Camtasia and TechSmith and other products like that. So that's at academy.techsmith.com. And in Crowdcast here, I will go ahead and start, if Kara's not already doing it, putting in URLs for all of these that we're mentioning.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is you don't have to necessarily having TechSmith products to take advantage of that. You can actually make a free account to access the TechSmith Academy, which is also very nice. All right, we got some burning questions in the Q&A, Joe. If we want to capture them, we'll go ahead and we will come back on screen. We're still here. Hello. And so we'll go ahead and answer these questions because I think they're fantastic. And again, we have a few more moments. So if you have any burning questions about anything, we'll try to tackle it, right? I'll put Joe on the spot. So Jennifer's got a great question here about being a new ID. She feels that she gets passed over for jobs from people that obviously have a little bit more experience. And she's asking, is there a way to overcome this, or does she need to kind of wait until someone takes a chance on a newbie? Joe, what are your thoughts on that?
So it was Jennifer, was it?
Yeah.
So what, Jennifer, you're describing is something that we all have to get through. It's a hurdle that everyone has to get over. So for me, I was working a dead-end job and I just needed someone to give me a chance, even though aside from what was basically a portfolio at the time, but I didn't call it that. It was just a website with some examples. This was like the mid-2000s. I just needed someone to take a chance on me and give me some type of job that would give me some type of relevant experience. So then I could get over that hurdle of needing 2 to 3 to 5 years of experience that everyone was asking for on their job descriptions. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, but in this field, especially if you're applying for jobs that are more in the creative side, as far as like creating presentations or e-learning courses or nice job aids, handouts, you have the ability to get your feet wet in that without needing a job. Just do some free trials, use some free tools, and put together some type of portfolio that shows that you know what you're doing and can show that off to employers. Because in my experience, time and time again, and even more so recently, employers respond really well to portfolios and are even requiring them now. And Kara and I were just talking before we went live that I found this job description that was like really passive aggressive. It was basically like, stop sending us bad portfolios, like only good portfolios, please. I wish I would have kept that link because it was so passive aggressive. But yeah, I think everyone feels pressured to put something together, and maybe they're a little rushed, or they don't feel like that they have the skills necessary, so they put a portfolio out there because everyone's asking for one. But again, I really think it helps to just kind of, as much time as you can spend, just play around with tools like this, using free trials or free alternatives. If you can't afford something like the Adobe Creative Suite, which a lot of people can't, I couldn't for the longest time, find free tools, free alternatives, and um, get what you can out there to share with employers the best way you can. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, the other things I will add is kind of same boat as Joe. Someone took a chance on me, and then, that kind of helped pivot me in my career. But I recently had 4 positions open on my team at work that I hired for, and 2 of the 4 people that I hired were newbie people. And I basically did that for a couple of reasons. One, they had great industry knowledge of the sector that I work in, so I knew that they would have kind of deeper expertise. 2, they had great relationships across the org with, again, a lot of our stakeholders. So again, they kind of had some of that, but 3, because someone did that for me, I knew that when I had that ability, I wanted to do the same thing for someone else. So for me, it was something that was really important to me in my hiring strategy, and I've just been thrilled of just like how excited that they've been about the whole thing. Now, another tip I will throw out that I have seen on a couple of portfolios out there is if last year you were like so many parents and you had to help your kid get through that virtual online learning mess of 2020 that I affectionately call panic gaji, because I think that's totally what it was. I've actually seen some people make portfolio artifacts out of trying to help their kids learn better at home. And I think that is a great way to start your portfolio if that was something that you struggled with, maybe as a parent, or maybe if you were helping, people with their children as well. I think that's a really smart way because one, you're helping someone else, right? Plus, it is, there's a dearth of information that you could go for on that. So I've seen it at least a couple of times on a couple of portfolios I've reviewed, and I was like, that's really smart. So feel free to steal that. I think maybe that could also help you as well. All right. So we have another question about, and I'm sorry, I didn't show the name for that. Oh, is that I don't know. It doesn't show with at least the little avatar in the name doesn't show for me. So, question, I'll kick it over here to you, Joe. Getting ready to create assets for the portfolio, would it be acceptable to use one topic to create various assets? So, in other words, a course on conflict management and storyline, a video on an emotion word wheel in Camtasia, and infographics using I statements in Canva. Or do you think it would be better to create assets of varying topics?
That's a good question. I think a portfolio works best when it can display a range of capabilities. So I think in this case, maybe the more topics, the better. That you can show that you're able to talk to many things, many industries, not just one. So that would be my thoughts. What about you, Kara?
I like portfolios that tell stories. One of probably my favorite portfolios I've reviewed in the past year was someone who was really into horticulture and was also basically grew produce for their own farmers market. So they had like a rise course on how they selected what it was that they grew. They made a little infographic to show like how they advertised their business. They had a video of a day in the life at the farmers market, and I really enjoyed that because I got to know that person, right? So I find often kind of these mundane topics, again, not saying they're not important, but conflict management, cybersecurity, I know it's important for a lot of organizations, but when I'm looking at a portfolio, to me, what's going to stand out is I want to know who you are as a human being, right? And so I think anytime you can infuse in your personality or things that you value or things that you like, I think it obviously, one, it's going to be more engaging because it's got your heart and passion, but 2, it's going to set you apart, I feel like, than everyone else kind of doing the same song and dance. So that would be my recommendation is whatever is important to you, things that you enjoy, bring those into your portfolio. Because I mean, this is your opportunity to build that awesome creative unicorn 9000 that you may or may not be able to actually do in your role, right? So this is when you bring out all the big guns and you go for it. So that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. show off some creativity where you can, because when employers are looking at your portfolio, they have like a set of questions in the back of their minds, and one of them is, well, could we see that could we see this example? Could we see them doing that in our organization? Could we use that kind of thing where with something that we're doing? So if they see something creative, they're gonna think, oh, that's really cool. We could do something similar over here. And not that you're just giving them free ideas. The whole point is that they want to then bring you on because you're seen as somebody that could help them with a lot of creative problem solving down the road.
Yeah. Free ideas, that should be another live stream full of tea,
Yeah,
right?
we could make 2 hours out of that one. It's my
Not going
soapbox.
there. I know. I know. All right, Dorada's got a great question here about big differences between Camtasia and Adobe Premiere slash After Effects slash Adobe Spark. She is considering learning the video editing tools with Adobe, but not sure that it's worth it. I'll speak real quickly to Spark. I think Spark is like just a rapid content creation tool, and I know that now I think Adobe Spark is free. I want to say they turned that on, was that 2 years ago? I think it's been free. So you can make quick little video, quick little infographic, but it is very kind of limited to what you can do with it. It is kind of a what you see is what you get. So you have limited animations, limited ways that you can bring in different things. But I will say a pro of it is you do get a broader access. It's not the full Adobe stock subscription, obviously, but you do get some of those assets there. So that's kind of, my thoughts on Adobe Spark. Do you want to speak to the other ones, Joe?
Yeah, so one of the things that goes into consideration with all these tools is price. And the Adobe Creative Suite or some subset of that, like I think there's one where it's just for video producers or animators, that's like Premiere and After Effects and Photoshop and maybe something else. But typically it's going to be like all the tools for like $600 a year. And that can be really limiting for some people. So Camtasia is like, I forget the exact price, but it's only like a couple $100, $250, something like that. And it's a one-time purchase. Now there's going to be updates that happen about once a year. But as you can see, I'm using Camtasia 2019, and it's working all right for me. I probably might not need to update for a year or two. So you don't have to update every year. So it's a much more affordable solution. And as we were showcasing today, you can get a lot of different kinds of things done and in a different workflow than when with a smaller learning curve than you could with a tool like Adobe Premiere. Premiere is great for small and large things, but it's I mean, if you wanted to, you could create a Hollywood production in Premiere. Now, along the lines of cost, there's another tool called DaVinci Resolve, and it's a very high-end tool comparable to Premiere that is completely free, and it's created by Blackmagic, who they create incredible cameras. So these are people that really know what they're doing, and it's one of those tools where you can't believe it's free. And because usually it's like, okay, what are the alternatives to Adobe products? Then you find something and it's like, all right, well, that's suitable, like GIMP instead of Photoshop, or Audacity instead of Audition, and things like that. But DaVinci Resolve, I still haven't gotten into it, but the more I hear about it, the more I'm impressed, and I want to download it and try it. So I think Kara's phrase is if it's free, it's for me. So I'd say if it's not too intimidating with the steep learning curve, check out DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, and just to add again about the price of, TechSmith products, I think that for what you get, it really is just an absolute smoking deal, because you do get a lot of power and you do get a lot of you can do a lot with it, versus, an e-learning authoring tool is also very expensive. So again, the nice thing is TechSmith does have the 30-day trial, and you can publish out what you have. I have heard people like, oh, but it's got a watermark. For me, I get excited when I see a watermark in someone's portfolio because I'm like, great, they're not using their company assets for personal use, right? Number one, but number two, that's exactly what these trials are set up for you to experiment, for you to try it out. So I actually get excited when I see a watermark on a TechSmith video that somebody made in their portfolio. I'm like, that's exactly what these trials are made for. So that's just kind of my last point about it. So
Yeah, and real quick, I think the great thing about Camtasia is the screen capture function. That's something that's not in Premiere, and to my knowledge, not in DaVinci Resolve either. It's that screen capture function and the ability to just say, I want to record what I'm doing on my screen, and then as soon as I hit stop, that opens up in a new project that you can start to edit. That is the beauty of Camtasia right there. That's where it excels.
I agree. All right. Looks like we got another question in here about organizations ask interviewees. Uh-oh. It's almost like whoever asked this knows that Joe Suarez is in the house. So some
Oh,
organizations ask interviewees to create an asset with a relatively quick turnaround. If we've already presented our skill set in a portfolio, in which instances of what we should work on, let's see, in which instances should we work on a requested asset as part of the interview process? I know you have some piping hot tea and strong feelings on this, Joe Suarez.
This is torture because I do, and aren't we like at time now? Aren't we at our hour mark?
The people want to know, Joe.
I can't take this in 30 seconds. I can't. I need like 30 minutes. All right. Here's my short, quick answer is I am really bugged that this is becoming more common. I've been in organizations where I've watched them take actual projects that they're working on and give them to interview candidates as their homework. And I've just been appalled by it. I've, as an interview candidate, been asked to do things that I knew could be taken and reused for free if I wasn't chosen as the candidate. So it puts job candidates in a very weird spot where you're basically pressured to potentially give people free work, and if step very lightly. And if there's some way to negotiate the terms of it, the way it should work is someone should be asking you to create something that can in no way be reused, like make a course on how to do laundry or bake cookies or something like that, right? Something that no one's going to be able to do, and you can show off your creativity and how you approach projects and things like that, and they can make sure that everything in your portfolio is something you actually did and didn't just steal a template from somebody. I get all that. I've also heard of companies asking people to do past projects that they've done. So they're not asking you to do work they can reuse, but how would you approach a project that we've done in the past? And then they can actually compare that to work that, how did they approach the project? And they can compare. So I get the benefit. I get why employers ask to do it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a quick answer for it. I've walked away from several job opportunities where I was just like, I'm not comfortable doing this. I'm done. I've done a couple where I didn't listen to my gut and I went ahead and did it anyway and regretted it instantly. I got ghosted once right after I submitted something, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done it. I have one place that I went to, a giant insurance company. If I named it, you would be surprised. There's someone else went through the same exact process, and if I told you their name, you would be like, whoa, that person too. They asked both of us to come in and basically ask them how to redo their entire leadership development program in Cornerstone. And it was like supposed to be like the final round of the interview. And I walk in, the hiring manager is there, and then they call in like the senior VP of learning and this other person that was responsible for leadership development. And they just wanted free consulting out of me. And this other guy went through the same exact experience. And I was just blown away by that. Of course, I didn't get the job. I don't even know if there was a job. And it's just stuff like that. It's just, I can't believe people are put through that. And I don't have a quick answer for it other than it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I don't do it. I don't have candidates build something new on the fly going through the job interview process because I feel like shame on me if I can't decipher your resume and your portfolio. Like if I'm bringing you in for an interview, it's because you've checked a lot of the boxes, right? And for me, it's an access and equality issue. I just have a real problem asking someone to build something on the fly when a lot of these products are so expensive, and I don't want someone stressing out over it to, like Joe said, maybe not even get the job, maybe, not go any further. To me, that's not a good way to treat people. And, even if somebody wanted to get a trial, maybe they've already had a trial and so now they're breaking the terms and conditions of the software. And to me, it's bad. So I don't go there personally. I will ask you very targeted questions on your portfolio. I may say, hey, that asset right there, that one caught my eye. Walk me through your design process. Tell me how you built XYZ, and I can, connect the dots that way. So I think that that's really important. So yeah, I'm not a fan of doing that either. I just it's just not cool. So, uh, wow, you really went there. You went spicy Cheeto. I like it. I didn't know you were going to go. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, it's like I know this story, but I can't share. Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions that we have. Let me know in the chat. I have done like asset files for past live streams to get people started. If you would like just like a plain asset file to get started with kind of like the hotspot and the jumping, let me know in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, just let me know, and then maybe I can set up a Dropbox for our next live stream, which will be next Saturday, same time at 1 p.m. Eastern time. But with that, any kind of final words of wisdom, Mr. Suarez?
Now I was reading the comments people are putting in, taking me back to my soapbox. No comments. Just thanks everyone for coming in, chiming in, asking questions, and come prepared next time with more questions about Camtasia that you have, and hopefully we can answer them for you.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.